Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host. My name is Patty Long, and you can find me on Twitter at MSNit for Life, and you spell that, or I spell that, MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And, it's really funny because, I'm a big fan of Dr. B's at Ohio Health MS, and he's on YouTube at Aaron Boster, MD. And, he was answering questions in a live chat, and I had just joined a little bit late, and then I heard him struggling, trying to figure out how to say MS&It for life. And I thought it was really funny because when I came up with that as my name or whatever, I didn't know how to spell anything. And I mean nothing at all. I couldn't spell. And I didn't want to sound like I was somebody that I wasn't either, so I was going to put MS in, like MSing, but without the G, because we hardly ever have the G on the end of it down here and where I live, it's just how we talk. So, anyhow, I got that all botched up in my spelling, because that's how few brains I had. But that's how it goes. And I do say it MS&It for life because I'm in this for life, and I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna do what I need to do so that I can have the most fun and happy life that I can possibly have. Because as far as I'm concerned, having that laughter and having that love and having those people who actually care about you in your life and aren't going to be ugly about things and start fights with you because they're ignorant and don't know what to say or how to say it, and they think they're being all funny and helpful, and they're not. They're being mean. So, anyways, it happens, and that's where the name came from, because that's what I'm doing. And it was when I made that decision that I wasn't going to allow anybody at all to crush me, and that if they thought they were going to by saying some mean, nasty thing, well, I hate it for them. It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't care anymore. I don't care what anybody thinks of me, except for what I think of me. And I mean, it sounds kind of selfish in a way, but I don't, because I know what type of person I am. I know that I do my best at stuff. I know that I can be stubborn when it comes to trying to tell me what to and the order in which to do it, and say, I ain't going to do it like that. I'm not going to do it at all, because you keep on and on and on and on about and on and on about it. So, yeah, I know I have faults. Nobody's perfect. But at the same time, I also know I'm a really good person. So, a lot of times I handle these situations with just plain old sarcasm. And it's it was really funny because, I did my show last Wednesday, and then Wednesday night I had 8-ball. Now, this 8-ball team wasn't a team that I had just planned on joining, because I didn't. They called me one night at like 7:30 and said, please, 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 please join this team, because if you don't join this team, they only have 3 players, and the whole league will disappear because you need 4 teams, and they wouldn't have 4 teams. I'm only 4 miles from there, so I'm really close to it. But it's also hubby's hangout, so I really wasn't comfortable with the idea of shooting up there on a weekly basis. And I told them that, and they said, well, just come this week. Well, 1 week turned into 2, turned into 3, and they never seemed to want me to just play 1 match. I end up playing twice because we still don't have 5 players there every week. And so I'm paying for 2 games, 2 matches. And so Wednesday night, when I showed up, and I showed up late intentionally, and I know you're not supposed to be late to things intentionally like that, but I didn't want to go first. I have to get comfortable. I have to find my vision and straight lines and things like that. Plus now I've got 2 sets of glasses. I've got a set of glasses for driving that I've just taken off right before walking in the door. And then I have the set that I can wear to see kind of that closer, middle-ish distance. And then I've got my 3rd set for like really close to maybe 3 feet. So, this is what I have to do. And I have to adjust each time I switch pairs of glasses, because if I don't, everything's distorted, right? Okay, so I didn't tell this girl any of that, and I don't know her from Adam's house cat. But when I walked in that building at like 7:30, or at least that's when I first arrived there, I don't know, because I stopped and said, hey, maybe 7:35. But, it was somewhere around 7:30. And I walked back there to the tables, and this girl pops out and starts hollering at me, y'all. She starts hollering at me because I'm the only one there from my team, and I'm late. Oh my gosh. So I looked at her and I said, well, I don't know where anybody's at, and I don't have any of their numbers. And I don't have a single soul's phone number from that team, so I don't know. And I walked off. And I started looking for a stick. And I got a stick, and I found an empty table in the back, and I would hit the cue ball and say, yeah, nah, until I found one that, I could kind of sort of shoot with. And I took my time about it. And then I walked back over to the table that we were playing on, because it was already open, so I could try and shoot a few balls, and warm up a little bit and let my eyes adjust a little bit more. But I started walking over that way. I set the cue stick down and was heading to the bathroom first. And that girl started hollering at me again. Told me I needed to hurry up. And I looked at her and I was like, well, if you don't mind, rather than peeing on you, I figured I'd go to the bathroom. And she didn't say nothing. She shut her mouth. And I went to the bathroom, and I thought, well, maybe that's that. Because I was meaning my smart alecky sort of meanness. And because she was irritating me, and she was trying to make me hurry. And the more you try and make a person with MS hurry, the more their symptoms are going to go boing and spring out. And that's not what I want. and I refused to let her. But she was already starting to get under my skin because she kept hollering at me. So I get done and I'm out of the bathroom, and I walk back over there and I pick up the stick and I grab a ball from inside there, one of the balls that, I think it was a solid ball that I grabbed, but one of the ones that we play with, because we have only 1 through 9, so one stripe and the rest are solids. And wait a minute, I was playing 8 ball, but that's the way I think, because I think 9 ball every freaking time. So 9 ball is more my game. And that's all that is. It's more my game. And she comes running over there. And I said, look, when I came in, your whole team was over here practicing on an open table. Your entire team was. I said, I just got here. I haven't had a chance to practice at all. So if you don't mind, I'm going to practice. And I'm going to warm up. And she looked at me and she walked off. And so I rolled like 3 or 4 balls out on the table and started trying to find straight. And it takes me a little while to figure out where straight is. And I'm sorry, but I see crooked. And that's what I'll tell her. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I haven't got there yet. I'm not ready yet. And I said this a few times to her. And it was like 7:50, and she said if we didn't start playing right then, that we would have to forfeit the game. And I'm like, I don't really care, because if none of my team is here, I don't want to pay $7 and forfeit the game anyways. So then Mark comes walking in, and somebody hollered that he was there. Now, he wasn't in the back yet, but he was there. And she's like, start. There's somebody else here. Start. So I was like, okay, I can't stall her anymore. So we started our match. And she's still being all mean. And then about the hurry thing. And I'm just not going to hurry. And when Mark walked back there, she started hollering at him, and she said, well, I've got grandkids that I'm keeping, and so I have a babysitter there. And Mark told her, he said, hey, that's not my problem. Now, Mark was also called in on this team last minute to save the league. They shouldn't treat us that way. We are not there because we intended to be there. We were there so that they could all shoot. And, her having babysitter, that's a personal problem that she should have already had taken care of, because she knows that she's in this league. She signed up for this league. She wanted to shoot in it. So she knows this. So anyhow, my game lasted and lasted and lasted. My match went on, and I made sure of it. And it became just as much, if not more so, about extending the length of the game. Now, I did have Mark over there, because we're separated by the table. Their team was on one side and ours on the other. And he was egging me on the whole time, He's like, hey, if you do this. He'd be like, time out, if you do this. And what he was doing was, having it set up so that I could crunch her balls together or whatever and leave her with no shot whatsoever. And so that's what we were aiming for. We were aiming to make the 1-2 balls that were easy for us to make, and then prolonging the game by doing these kinds of things. And it got really, really funny. And then, of course, it's just me and Mark there. So Mark's next, right? So he goes up. And he does the same thing throughout his entire match. He does the exact same thing and extends this game. And we were getting like 24 innings per 8-ball game. And that's ridiculous, for either of us to have a game go on that many matches. So, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But we extended it. And before Mark's game was up, Richard got there. Now, Richard did a little bit of it, but he didn't get quite so bad about it. And then when Richard was finished shooting his game, I got called on to shoot again. And I was put up against somebody who was a 5. I am only a 2, so he's a much better player than I am. So I already knew that my chance of winning against him was slim to none, And so all my match was about extending the match and the time that we were there. So we ended up being there till close to midnight. Now, Mark and I had a freaking blast, and we were over there laughing and cutting up and carrying on and talking to each other in between every shot and just joking around. Nothing about shooting shots, because that's like an illegal act. But everything else, we were just talking junk. And we had a blast. And that is what it's all about. And I don't let it keep festering. I don't let it keep on. And I will say my 2 cents. And then I'm going to find the laughter. And I knew as soon as Mark got there, there's my laughter. So I did prolong it absolutely as long as I could. And because I was trying to be civil. And sometimes you just have to, keep trying to be that way and be civil about it while telling them off and saying, look, this isn't going to happen. I hate it, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry you don't get it, but it's not going to happen. And sometimes we can have a sit-down conversation with a person, but that's not generally when you're out in public. When you're out in public and you have these things, I call it sarcastic humor, which is different than just being sarcastic, but sarcastic humor. And it's like, well, geez, I know I'm not keeping up very good. You reckon you could help me carry these bags of dog food? They're really heavy. And it leaves the person's mouth dropping open. And then it gives them a picture in their head. Because, it kind of feels like I've got a 50-pound bag of dog food on each shoulder that I'm carrying around and have been carrying around all day. Can you please, please, please take it for me for a little while? And that is one of the ways that I explain fatigue, is with the comparison to the 50-pound bags of dog food, and how much humor in it and how much seriousness you want to put in it just sort of depend on the person. I mean, you can be real smart alecky or just a little straightforward like I just was, without the smart alecky quite so much. And that's just your personality. I taught my daughter how to be a smart aleck on purpose. And I did it because she was getting picked on at school and people were saying mean things to her at school. And she was like 5. And she was coming home and having her feelings hurt and crying. And I didn't want my child coming home from school every day crying. She needed to be a happy child. That's the best way to live. And I didn't want her to hate school. Because you got to go for a long time. You got 12 years plus kindergarten. So, it's just, I had to teach her comebacks so that when some kid hurt her feelings with what he had just said or called her, then she would have a comeback that was kind of friendly and kind of mean, And when you did it that way, it kind of left them with their mouths dropped. And it kind of left them thinking. And it was funny to me. So, like another one I use for both fatigue in general and for, like my walking ability going all wonky, because it'll do that sometimes, and I'll tell them, something to try and help them learn, and also a way to make them laugh. And if I'm in a crowd, I might say, hey, does anybody have a mirror? And when they're like, well, why do you need a mirror? Then I'm like, 'cause it feels like I just gained 100 freaking pounds and I want to check my face. Did I gain a freaking 100 pounds? Did I? And everybody starts laughing and they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I feel like I have and I can't get up. And, not that I've fallen or anything, but, I just can't get up. But they laugh and they help me, and then they start learning and understanding what MS is and what it means to our daily life, because they don't care about the scientific crap, okay? They don't care about the number of lesions. They don't care how the central nervous system works. Honestly, they're just trying to understand your issues. So we have to help them understand those issues. And my way is not the only way. I mean, everybody has different ways. But dealing with people is probably the hardest thing. And I try and do it through humor and through being my smart alecky self. And then once you're around people who understand, then you have all that laughter like I do with Mark, and but this is a girl that I don't know. I mean, I seriously don't know her from Adam's house cat. I've now played her team twice, and last time I remember her yelling at everybody on the team, and she persisted to yell at Mark and at Richard, and me. So by the end of the night, I had her laughing. So at least by the end of the night, she quit hollering. But by that time, I was playing this guy that was, way better than me. And I only got 1 point against 3. So how am I going to get a win against, somebody that much better than me? I don't know. Maybe that's poor thinking. But I played hard and I played a lot of defense, which extended the game. And they ended up there till nearly midnight. I thought it was hilarious. Mark thought it was hilarious. Richard thought it was hilarious, even though he kept saying, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go to work in the morning, you don't know, I gotta go. But we were laughing. And nobody wants to be in that state of mind where they're not laughing and where they're spending most of their day angry and upset and with feelings hurt. So find your comebacks for whatever thing it is that people are saying to you. And if you can't find one, come online and ask me, because I bet I can think of something. Even if I can't think of it on the spur of the moment during the show and have trouble thinking of it, when I think of it on the spur of the moment when somebody says it to me, then I can think of it. But we let the jokes fly about everything and anything and just had a blast. While she could stay over there and be her little sourpuss, argumentative, hollering self. And we ignored it. We both did. I ignored it from the time I got there, which is basically what I did, and stalled then, and learn how to stall when you need to stall, because if you need things to slow down, then you need things to slow down, because trying to hurry, when we do that, we forget things, we have accidents, we have issues that go crazy. Our balance might get off. We might get dizzy. We might have a headache from it. We might just start hurting all over from it. I mean, it is crazy, because that hurrying and being hurried and somebody rushing you, or just feeling the pressure yourself of being rushed to do this, this, and this, that is stress. That is a major, major stress. Whether it's somebody else pushing you to go faster, or if it's yourself pushing you to go faster. So try not to push yourself into going so much faster that you're having issues. Allow yourself to slow down and slow it down. And, like I say, I was stalling during this pre-match, and then all three of my matches, just because I was being a smart aleck. But Mark was doing it too, so I felt better about it. And he's the one that got me started, y'all. He's the one that started me on the path to slowing the game down as slow as possible. Circle the table twice. Look at it good. All this kind of crazy stuff. So we did. We stalled and we slowed it down really, really, just to be smart Alex, because she was being so nasty. And but do stall. If you need time, then stall. Take your time. You will remember better. You will function better. You will feel better. You will completely think better. And you're definitely going to feel better about yourself, because what you're accomplishing, even if it's not in somebody else's time frame, is amazing. And remember that, okay? So it's past time to go, of course. Always. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And everybody, I hope you have a great week. And remember to smile big, smile often, laugh a whole lot. And most importantly, love yourself, including your wacky, messed up parts. Thanks, guys.